But thankfully enough, in the last 24 years, so to say, we have had, an ongoing civilian rule. And please mind my words. When I use the word civilian rule, I'm using those words very consciously. You know, yes, what we wanted was democracy. What we desire is democracy. Where we should be is in a democratic nation. But do we have that democracy right now? I would say no. Because for me, democracy goes beyond coming to an office through the process of an election. Yes, that's the beginning, but the best we have been able to have at the moment is a civilian rule, which at least is better than a military, regime being in place, or a military rule, so to say, or military dictatorship. And our hope and desire is that we'll graduate from the level of civilian rule that we have had in the last 24 years to a democratic stage where leaders will not only be elected through the ballot, the votes of the electorate will count. And of course, as much as possible, the leaders themselves will become conscious of the fact that there is nothing permanent about the opportunity given to them. It's a very nascent thing because you are voted in. If you don't do what you are supposed to do, you can easily be voted out. And I said easily because that's when the votes of Nigerians would have begun to count, And then, of course, still a cardinal element of that democracy will also have rule of law, in place of rule of force. And there'll be press freedom, human rights will be respected, and we would also have socio-economic rights that will not only be enshrined in our constitution as we presently have, but that will be respected. All of this together will give us a democratic state. So for me, that is the number one problem that we have. That we came from, a long history of being abused as a people. By slave masters, by colonial masters, and then of course by the military at some point, and by civilian rulers who, of course, are yet to come to terms with the realities of the tenets of democracy. And where do we go from here? One, I believe that as much as possible we need to hold on to what we have, a rulership through the ballot, leadership through the ballot, and then, of course, the leaders become more accountable to the people. Our leaders in the past were more accountable to interests other than the interests of the Nigerian people. If Nigerians had not had an administration like the Buhari administration, it probably would have been extremely difficult for us to come out of recession. Not just based on what was happening in Nigeria, but within a global context of what was happening around the world. But because of the level of prudence and frugality of this administration, it was much easier, to come out of recession. But today, do Nigerians have a reason to dance? I would say no, because yes, a lot of infrastructural development, but how do you celebrate accomplishments in terms of infrastructural development when there is so much insecurity in the land? When people cannot travel on our road, when even a lot of the trains that we have acquired and the rail infrastructure that we have built and all that cannot be put to safe use, by the people. And so it becomes difficult, for you to even say you have a cause to celebrate. I don't envy government spokespersons these days because you have to do your job of defending the government and espousing what government is doing. But a lot of Nigerians, are just too unhappy, with the insecurity situation. And for me, the primary essence of a government, or the primary purpose of a government, is to secure lives and property. And that's also what explains the personal bias that I have, for who I believe should be the next president of Nigeria, which is a matter for another day, because my own understanding of what Nigeria needs right now is a president who has the scientific understanding of what is to be done, scientific understanding of what is wrong, the antecedents, of having been able to fix, broken communities, broken states, broken situations, and who has a scientific understanding of the workings of the economy, because a lot of the problems that we have are traceable to the economy. If the economy is buoyant, there will be employment. If there's employment, the sociological implication of that is that there will be, crime rate will go down because more able-bodied people will be able to survive, either as business entrepreneurs or people who are engaged, by companies or government agencies where they can build a reliable career. And as much as possible, we also need somebody who will have the courage to take the decision, without minding whose ox is God, and without setting out to either protect any particular religion or tribe or group of people, and so we need Nigerians to come to terms with the reality of the fact that our search should be for someone who can help fix this economy. Not somebody who is coming to protect any particular religion, not somebody who is a product of a particular religion, but somebody who decisively, understands what it takes to turn a nation like ours around, so that we don't get left behind by the rest of the Committee of Nations. That's a genuine concern that I know.
Okay.